Hi guys, Dr. Taylor here, and welcome back to my tips and tricks to get you through the holiday season. This one's going to be food related, and it's so basically you don't slap your wrist at the end of the day to be like, I shouldn't have eaten all that. Um, this is going to help you at least make different choices, hopefully on those days, depending on what your family eats, right? So for my family, on Thanksgiving, we do turkey and ham, and then on Christmas, we do tamales. So Christmas Day kind of varies. It just kind of, sometimes we've had just like really good homemade sandwiches. Other times we have had crepes or, breakfast things, or it just kind of depends on what we're up for that day, I guess. But the goal is going to be the same regardless. So the first thing that you want to focus on when you are at any holiday experience is drinking enough water, because this is going to help you stay full, but also keep you away from some of those empty calories that you would get in like sodas and whatnot. So you can save them for the things that you actually want to eat, right? So the second thing is going to be to focus on the meats. So whatever meat options you have, put most of that on your plate. Serve yourself that first. If you can make your plate predominantly meat, then you are much more likely to eat less crap, because the meats are usually not covered in crap. Do you know what I mean? Like they're usually like seasoned, or sometimes they're glazed or whatever, but that's just a slightly little part of it. It's not like the whole piece of meat. So I definitely recommend trying to get as much meat on your plate as you can at the beginning, and it's going to help buffer you for the crap that comes later. So start with the meat on your plate. Third, I would choose sides that are healthier for you first. So for example, I'm going to use Thanksgiving as an example. Usually you have some sort of mashed potatoes, some yams, some stuffing or dressing, however you want to call it, green beans. And then also, like our family, we also have like an ambrosia type salad. I can't remember the other one. It's like, it's got apple and it's got nuts and it's got like celery or something like that. And so it's, but they're all like dosed in mayonnaise or, creamy badness, so they taste delicious. Don't get me wrong. Those aren't really salads. Those are desserts. Those are dessert options, which we're going to get to in a second. So let's focus on the other ones. I would try to stay away from rolls, right? Like that's an easy one that you can avoid pretty much for the most part and still feel like you had plenty of Thanksgiving. For yams and whatnot, I definitely do my yams differently than a lot of people. A lot of people like to use, have all the syrup in it, the brown sugar, maybe marshmallows on top. That's also a dessert. So for my yams, I put them with olive oil, or I cook them in olive oil or butter. Then I toss them with some sort of nut. It can be almonds or pecans or whatever. And then just a sprinkle of salt on top. And it's fantastic. It's sweet and salty, and it just has a nice flavor, and it doesn't have all of that crap with it, right? It's just the yams, which is beautiful. Green beans. So the green bean casserole is pretty terrible for you if you're not surprised. Everything from the crunchies on top to the high sodium counts of the soup and all of that crap. Let's bypass a little bit of that. And believe me, I love green bean casserole, but I also love the way that I do green beans now. There are some versions of like gluten-free green bean casserole, which are okay, but it doesn't fix the problem of it being like terrible for you. So what I like to do is I take green beans just like normal, and then I toss them in either butter or olive oil and toss them in that, throw in some nuts. Sometimes it's almonds, sometimes it's pecans, whatever, sometimes it's walnuts, whatever I got. Throw in some nuts, and then I throw in dried cranberries, and mixing all of those together, some salt and pepper. It's delicious. It's sweet and salty, just like the yams were, and it has that nice complexity of flavor, but it's so simple and it feels clean, and it doesn't feel like it's weighing you down a ton. And then for mashed potatoes, I do highly recommend that you maybe make your own on some of these. There's a lot of traps in mashed potatoes. For example, lots of people will thicken their mashed potatoes with flour, which is really annoying when you're gluten-free, right? You can put an astronomical amount of like butter and stuff like that in these things, which are just a trap, just a gluttonous trap. But more than that, as someone who loves mashed potatoes, the real problem is definitely the gravies, right? The gravies that will keep you just they're made with so much crap that it's hard for it to be healthy. So now let's get to stuffing. Stuffing is basically bread, and it's just covered in turkey juice and whatnot. Throw in some celery and whatnot. It's not great. Probably don't eat it. It is just bread, and there's just carbs there. I would probably choose the roll over stuffing, because at least in that sense you can put like butter on it and you might get some healthy fats in there. I guess it depends on how you make your stuffing. If you make it with some of the turkey juices, then maybe that would help in there. But honestly, it's just a sodium bomb that is not great for you. So I would definitely limit my portion of stuffing. So far, if we can find some healthier green beans, then have a big portion. Healthier yams, have a nice big portion. Mashed potatoes, just kind of be careful on what the gravy that you're putting on it. But a decent portion, a smaller-ish portion, and stuffing I would probably avoid, as well as the rolls. As we look towards dessert now, I do want to add in that the cranberries that you get in the can, they're not great for you. Like it's straight bad. So if you're gonna have cranberries at all, then I would add it actual fruit cranberries and maybe put them like instead of the dried cranberries, utilize them somehow in your dish naturally without that crap that they put in a can. So use cranberries smart and keep them as part of the season, because it's a fantastic flavor in the foods. So now let's go to desserts. So desserts are kind of a trap, as you already know, but there are ways to do this better. So as we were talking about before, like the ambrosia and that other fruit salad, which I can't think of, those are covered in all sorts of unhealthy things. And yes, they have fruit, but fruit and marshmallows is not really a salad, and it's not really healthy. So I would avoid those things or have very small portions of them if I did. Having healthier options for dessert is usually something you're probably going to have to bring, or you're going to have to look for something like maybe you have decaf coffee or something like that where it's kind of limited and you're not getting caffeine late at night, with some flavors in it, but try and keep it as neutral as possible. Something that has a strong flavor, putting like peppermint or something in it might help curb you from needing to put all of this creamer and other crap in it, because the flavor is nice and strong. That's as far as that. As drinks go, drinks can be a calorie bomb, but for this, we're at least talking about just the food part, trying to avoid some of that other crap. So when we get to desserts, some of my favorite options are going to be options that eliminate some of the crap. So for example, one of my favorites would be to have pumpkin pie, but maybe without the crust. An apple pie without the crust, or maybe like an apple crisp, or hell, just baking the apple with some cinnamon on it and a little bit of butter. It's amazing. So something like that is a better option for that. I also recently did a pumpkin cheesecake without the crust, which was fantastic. I've also made it before with a pumpkin cheesecake with a nut crust, which has an extra dose of protein. Also a fantastic option. Things like this. I have a pumpkin pie that is just straight pumpkin pie. It's got a gluten-free crust, and the pumpkin it's got so little sugar in it that you can actually taste the pumpkin instead of the sugar, it's just delicious. So things like that are fantastic options for dessert that aren't just sugar bomb traps. So I hope that gives you a little bit of guidance through the things. Drink a lot of water, focus on meat, stick to the healthier sides and bigger portions of that. And then as far as desserts, try and bring your own, choose a healthy option. But if you can't, then take a very small amount. And of course, as we talked about in some of the other ones, digestive enzymes to help support it all the way through. And bowel mover if you need to help support it on the way out. I hope that helps, guys, and I hope you have a fantastically healthy holiday season.